The misfire is still present, the car is still wobbling. I suspect, as I've said, that it's going to be one of the fuel injectors. So next up we're going to have to clean all the fuel injectors or replace any faulty ones. This is my Land Rover L322 TDV8 that I purchased a month ago. It was due to be delivered to Land Rover yesterday, but I had some problems arranging the transporter. The transporter could only deliver the car this morning, and Land Rover refused to accept the car, so we've rescheduled the car for delivery on the 3rd of August. Obviously the day before we managed to make a significant milestone in that we detected a P0370 error code that is indicating that there's a problem with one of the injectors. So we received a misfire on cylinder 7. I'll just show you the error code now. So I've just popped over to Halfords and picked some of this diesel injector cleaner by Winds. So we're going to install this. The car's got just under half a tank, so yeah, that should be around 60 litres or less than 60 litres. So I should have really installed some of this right at the offset, but we weren't sure really whether it was a mechanical fault or an electrical fault. Right, it takes really just a few moments to install. It's 325 millilitres. So we're now going to run the engine. Ideally, I'll take the car onto the motorway, but we don't have an MOT, neither is the car taxed. I can't get the car taxed because it doesn't have an MOT, so it's just one of those frustrating times where you can't really drive the car anywhere, but you do need to drive the car to try and work through some of the issues. So I'm just going to start the engine, run it for about 10 minutes. I might just take it to the end of the road and back again, just making sure obviously that if there are any other cars I stop. And yeah, we'll just play that game of patience really, and just try and flush this through the system. Who knows, it might end up clearing one of the injectors. We're working through the issues on this L322, including the fuel injector cleaner that we've just placed, but these guys don't seem to understand that you need to run a car to work through the issues. It's not untaxed because I'm a non-paying customer. It can't be taxed because the car can't get an MOT because of the misfire. After 3 months, the Range Rover is back. Lovely sound. She lives. She may have had open heart surgery, but the doctor said that the operation was an overall success. So we're going to head out into the countryside and explain exactly what this Range Rover has undergone in the last 3 or so months. So smooth, really. So the car needed the piston on cylinder 7 replaced, and it had a few other items done at the same time. So one of the turbos has been reconditioned. We've had a piston that's been replaced. All the bearings have been done, so the big end bearings and all the other bearings have been done. So that's typically rod bearings in other cars. So all the main bearings have been done. We also had an issue with the passenger side left suspension that kept collapsing. So we had some OEM suspension bits fitted for, I think it was 400-500 quid. I'll not go into the total cost yet, but suffice to say, I'm very, very happy. I'm still really around £4,000 to £5,000 profit. So I've been very, very fortunate. The big decision is whether I keep the car now. So I love going down this road. Beautiful. It kind of doesn't make sense to be putting so much effort and ploughing thousands of pounds really into a car, only to sell it to somebody else and have them kind of haggle and you know, pay you either exactly what you have paid for in repairs or slightly less just so you can get rid of it. So I might put the car up for sale. I might put it up for 10 grand. Next week on Wednesday, it's due in to have the tailgate repaired. So obviously it's rusting and we don't want that to continue. When I took it to the body shop, the guy immediately looked at me and said it's just going to rust again. So I don't think he's too enthusiastic about that job, but we're also going to have the wheel arches done as well. So I think I'm just going to creep out and then we're just going to turn back. Right by the Yorkshire countryside, so it's pretty scenic. Maybe tomorrow we might go out into the Dales, but yeah, this is a terrific vehicle, and I tell you, when you put your foot down, boy does this thing go. It absolutely flies, and it's so addictive. I don't think I'm actually going to sell this car. I now understand exactly why people love these cars. I've had a turbo diesel before. I had a BMW 322D. I think that was the N47 engine. It was the 2 litre, not the 3 litre. But boy, did that go! You know, 181, 182 brake horsepower. Really, really powerful. I think we're coming up to 50 here, so we should be able to give it a little bit more willy. Oh, and we're already at 50, and my oh my, what a car! I mean, just the torque is just unbelievable. it just goes really. So once you get to kind of 40 miles, it just, I mean, it's just so powerful. The twin turbos, and frankly, I don't know why anybody would need anything more than what you have in this car. This is perfection, really. And I'm going to struggle to get rid of this unless I can make a reasonable amount of profit. Yeah, I think we're going to keep this because it's such a great drive. And we're now at the stage really where everything is just going to be equivalent. You're never going to match what this car can do. All you're going to be able to do really is to get something similar or with just more forced induction. Let's just give it some whirly. Oh, there we are. Oh. 50. So yeah, this is a bit special really, and yeah, maybe tomorrow we'll take it on to somewhere where we can do the national speed limit. But this is magical, phenomenal car, and yeah, just really pleased to have it repaired, to have this running again. It's taken around 3 months for it to be repaired, so really I've kind of decided really, or learnt ultimately, that if you're going to purchase a Range Rover, especially a TDV8, sub £10,000, over 120,000 miles, I think you're just going to need to do all of these items. You're going to need to do the big end bearings, you're going to need to do the turbos, get them reconditioned at least, or brand new ones if you can afford them, have the engine rebuilt, and then yeah, you're going to have another 10 to 15 years use of the car. It's unbelievable how excited the engineer, the technician was. They love working on this engine. It's an absolute classic diesel engine. In fact, this is, if you see the Ford truck, I think there's a Wild Track truck that's won all these awards, and it's a 2.2 kind of diesel. This is effectively 2 of those trucks. And yeah, this is a bit special. And I don't think, as I say, that you can beat this or pass this. This is really the peak, and yeah, everything else from now is just going to be an equivalent, because this is perfection. The power, the drive, the accessories. I mean, this is the first car that I've purchased that I don't want to change anything, you know. When I look at it, it's perfect. The only thing that I want to do is just deal with the rust. But I don't want to change the colour of the wheels. I don't want to change the tyres. I don't want to change anything on the car. So yeah, the focus is going to be purely mechanical on this car. So we didn't have the opportunity to look at the tailgate. You can see there's some paint that's come off there. And there's also some paint that's come off there. The Range Rover is back from the body shop, and as you can see, the tailgate is now pretty much perfect. There's some corrosion here and you can't see anything at all, and there was a little dink in the centre there. We open this up. It's more or less perfect. Also had these wheel arches that are freshly painted, but obviously I've driven it. as well, so both the rear arches. The alarm keeps going off on this L322 that I believe indicates a low or flat battery. I've just gone to start the car and it refuses to start, so I've just disconnected the negative, which is over there, so that is the negative, and then I've just hooked up the charger to it. So we're going to leave this for a few hours and hopefully the problem goes away, i.e. the alarm going off in the middle of the evening. Quite a few times I've had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to switch the car on and off to stop the alarm. So I do hope that we don't have a battery drain issue on top of all the bits we're trying to sort out on the L322. So I was hoping to go for a little drive in the L322, but it refuses to start. I've managed to connect a battery charger, so hopefully in 4 or so hours there should be sufficient charge to allow the car to start. I'd highly recommend, if you're going to purchase a Range Rover L322, especially the 4.4 TDV8 or the 2010 version that has the electronic interface, to be very wary of power consumption. Now, the previous L322 from 2007 and all the ones before had a dot pixel user interface in the car that uses almost no power, but this new sort of smartphone like interface that you have in this car is very resource intensive. Whenever you open the doors on this L322, there's a lot of items that get activated, apart from the door going bing, which is very annoying. Hopefully I can turn that off. A lot of unnecessary power items that get turned on and drain the battery. I don't know why Range Rover didn't fit a second battery. This is definitely one of those cars that needs a second battery. I will look at getting a second battery installed, especially if I'm going to go overlanding. So for example, you can imagine going to Africa, you go out in the bush somewhere and then you open the door a few times and then you end up with a flat battery. I don't think you're going to be particularly pleased. So this is a weakness. In fact, I was watching an L322 video recently with Harry Metcalf and Jeremy Clarkson, who jokes really about this issue, saying that the Top Gear team had exactly the same issue where he had his L322, the 3.6 TDV8 from 2007, that worked flawlessly, but all the other members of the team that had the 2010 version, which is this version, they kept running into battery drainage problems because everybody kept opening and closing the doors. So it is very power intensive. It really does drain your battery if you keep opening and closing the door. Now obviously I've not driven the car for several months. Hopefully this is just the initial charge after a period of indolence. But I would highly recommend that you carry with you a jump pack. For example, in case you happen to drive the car to the city centre or into the countryside and then find yourself unable to go home because the battery has run flat. So this is a clear issue really with these L322s, these 4.4 TDV8s. Be very cognizant of power consumption. The L322 has left me stranded. I've had to pick up my other car and here we are stuck. Let's have a look. So if I start the car, we have a restricted performance, charging system fault. The steering wheel doesn't move, it's rock solid, so we're going to have to abandon the car until tomorrow morning, where I'm going to remove the battery, charge it, and hopefully that will get the car running. We're back at the Range Rover. I've just moved it a little bit further. We're just going to have a look. Let's start the car. Still a restricted performance. Charging system fault. So that's not cleared the error at all.